How much do you like cars? Well, if you love cars as much as we do, especially the classics, then you're in for a treat with today's video. We'll be checking out some of those custom-built classics you need to see. There's something about cars built between the 60s and 80s. Not only do they have a different vibe, but some of those engines are still powerful today. A few engineers seem to agree and decided to have them custom-built with even better specifications. But before we get into the video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel with notifications turned on so you don't miss any of the new videos we post. And now it's time to get dazzled with these classics. Chevrolet Bel Air. Worth about $300,000, the Chevrolet Bel Air has always come across as a hot convertible with a Ferrari-inspired grille. For its era, the 1957 version definitely stood out, even more than a few other models. With its 3.9-liter Blue Flame and optional small block V8 of 4.3 and 4.6 liters. However, the reimagining of the Chevrolet Bel Air brought a few other amazing features to life. RK Motors replaced the outdated mills with a 7-liter GM LS7 V8 engine. It also has a Tremec 7-speed manual with 501 horsepower at the rear wheels. Finished in custom leather upholstery, this custom-built classic runs like the wind. Up next is Cadillac Eldorado Biarritz. The Cadillac Eldorado Biarritz was produced for about 5 decades across 12 generations until it was discontinued in 2002. However, true fans of its power still love this classic, and the Biarritz lasted through the 1964 model. The Cadillac Eldorado Biarritz belongs to the 6th generation of the Eldorado. Today, it's not the same as it was years ago, as it has a completely redesigned body. This classic car carries a 6.4-liter V8 engine, or 390 cubic inches. It also comes with an upgraded top, air conditioning, limited slip differential, power seats, and cool leather upholstery by Jenkins Interiors. The Hydra-Matic 4-speed auto-powered drum brakes are the cool finishing that sends 325 horsepower to the rear axle wheels. Sounds great, doesn't it? Up next, Shelby Cobra. When a classic can go from 0 to 60 in less than 4 seconds, then you know you have a supercar on your hands. The Shelby Cobra came to life thanks to Carroll Shelby, an American automotive designer in the 60s that encouraged AC cars in the United Kingdom to incorporate Ford's small block V8 engines into their 2-seater vehicles. The Mark I and II models were immensely successful, and thanks to this, they expanded beyond the original scope. So, as you can imagine, the chassis couldn't handle this, and Shelby had to create a new platform to house the 7-liter FE engine, fiberglass shell independent suspension, and 15-inch wheels. With the horsepower ranging from 500 to 700, the Shelby Cobra, with its aluminum and fiberglass bodies, is definitely a must-see. Up next is Dodge Evolution Charger. Known as one of the most powerful productions for the sports sedan category, this Dodge Evolution Charger model has existed for years as a subcompact hatchback. Then it went from a luxury coupe to a V8 muscle car in the 70s. You could say they came to the party a little late for their time, but they still made quite an impact on the Mustang sales during that era. Before long, the petrol heads had fallen in love with this sleek car, and in 2020 it was remodeled to fit the new standards of our generation. Manufacturers introduced 966 horsepower into the carbon fiber body, crowning it all with the 6.2-liter supercharged V8 engine. This classic car also has a stainless steel frame with the enhanced Resto mod using a modern speed core. It also has the Tremec T56 transmission to harness its output, with forged HR wheels and Brembo performance brakes on Michelin tires. Up next is Corvette Stingray C2. The first thing you would notice about the Corvette Stingray C2 is how sleek it looks, both on the inside and outside. This car is still in production, and most people would recognize the original C2 Stingray. Still, the Italian company Aris Design decided to do a major makeover of this classic car, taking the original 1964 C2 body, but this time with some decent interior fittings and modern mechanical components. It took more than 3,000 hours to get this done, and the results feature its suspension source from the 2017 C7 and a new chassis with axles. The engine is a Corvette LS3 V8 with 525 horsepower output and a 6.2-liter displacement. Even better, this breathtaking muscle car comes with a manual transmission that has reliable brakes and 5 gears nicely fitted in the interior. Everything about this car screams class, even the burgundy faux leather. Up next, Lincoln Lincoln Continental. One thing most people will remember the Lincoln Classics for is that it was one of these models that President Kennedy and his wife were riding in when he was assassinated in 1963. It was so great that the Lincoln brand was chosen as the U.S. presidential state car. However, away from this dark history, let's talk about the roots of the Lincoln Continental. This goes back as far back as World War II, with the first model introduced in 1940. Before long, the company had an entire Continental division focused on improving and developing several variants of this flagship model. In the 1960s, Lincoln achieved its biggest fame when the entire range was consolidated into one. The then Vice President of Ford, Elwood Engel, had it rebuilt from scratch into a four-door convertible and sedan. The 1961 Lincoln Continental had a power steering with hinged rear doors, a 7-liter MEL V8 engine, new power-operated soft top with 300 horsepower thanks to the 3-speed gearbox. Up next is Chevy Impala Imposter. Although the Chevy Impala has been discontinued so many times in its history, you'll be glad to see the Chevy Impala Imposter, which is one of the best models for this brand. The Chevy Impala has been around for several generations, with those of the last 2 decades being different from that of the 50s and 60s. But by 2020, the numbers available reduced drastically. Still, they have sold more than 1 million cars, and at the time were the world's best-selling full-size cars. The Chevy Impala Imposter is based on the 1965 Sport Coupe made by Chip Foose, a renowned automotive engineer. He merged these two using the skin from the classic Impala on a Corvette C6. This resulted in the Chevy Impala Imposter, with an adopted C6 driveline, a version shorter by 14 inches, and a wiring harness. One of the most beautiful things about this timeless classic is that most of its parts are hand-sculpted, including the rear taillights and custom grille. To crown it all, it's powered by the LS3 V8 engine with an upgraded Magnon supercharger. Up next, Chevy Camaro Valkyria. Between 1967 and 1969, the first set of Chevy Camaros was developed and sold as a way of competing against the Ford Mustang. Did they win that war? Well, that's left for you to decide. But these came in both convertible and coupe body styles with 2+2 seating. It also came powered with a solid engine and a conventional front-engine rear-wheel drive layout. The last update that was done about 5 decades ago included updated headlights, a redesigned grille, and upgraded metal bodywork. Recently, the Ring brothers decided to have the classic custom built with some better features. They named this Valkyria, which comes in the same shape as the original version, but with all new interiors. They had most of the parts made with CNC machine or 3D prints. At the heart of its engine is the 6.8-liter LS3 V8 engine, combined with the 2.8-liter Whipple supercharger. The Chevy Camaro Valkyria comes with a modified 6-speed Tremec gearbox and runs at 890 horsepower, making it one of the custom-built classics you need to see. Up next, Chrysler 300H. From 1955 to 1965, Chrysler produced some high-performance cars in Los Angeles that they tagged as the letter series. As you can tell by the name, each model was given the next letter in the alphabet as part of the name. But this particular classic we're talking about is the 300H. The very first one in this model series had 300 horsepower with a 5.4-liter firepower Hemi V8. It was an extremely rare model, with a limit of about 2,000 units in production. But in terms of exclusivity, you could say that the 300 family was the leader, specifically the 1962 300H model. Chrysler produced just a little over 400 of these, while we don't have up to 200 left today. A few of them have been maintained extremely well by their owners, with most of the factory glass and original metalwork still intact. Still, you can't help but admire some of its features, especially the authentic 3-speed automatic gearbox, the cabin leather made in cracked cocoa, the 6.8-liter V8 engine producing 380 horsepower, and the overall classy interior. Up next is Ford Mustang GT Convertible. Remodeled by Revology, the Ford Mustang GT Convertible has always been a historic icon in the automotive industry. But after the remodeling, you could say that it is even better than before. This model includes components built by Ford and Shelby Shelby and officially licensed to be a part of the Ford Mustang. They built bespoke muscle car masterpieces into this car, making it equipped with a 5-liter Coyote V8 engine, 460 horsepower Generation 3, and a 10-speed automatic. Combined with its power assist mechanism, soft top, and performance brakes, you could say that this custom-built classic has great tech that will keep users on Cloud 9. Let's not forget the contemporary tech, like iPad and Bluetooth features, with a leather upholstery finish that leaves car enthusiasts in smiles. And there you have it. These are some of the custom-built classics we think are so amazing that you need to check them out. If you could bring one classic back to life, which would you pick and why? Let me know in the comments. And that's a wrap. Thanks for watching.